欧洲西北部高度发达的资本主义国家，是世界上工业发达国家之一，其经济高度对外依赖，为世界10大商品进出口国之一。比利时是一个充满生命活力的低地之国，包含了不同种类的语言和不同的文化，有着深厚的文化底蕴。比利时和中国的关系还有着非常久远的历史。比利时大使马怀宇表示，两国外交关系的展开存在着很多的可能性和机会。本期节目，我们将走进比利时王国，一起听听比利时和中国的故事，感受小国的大魅力。同时，比利时大使马怀宇还将讲述他对“一带一路”战略和两国外交关系的看法。位于欧洲西北部的比利时是19世纪初欧洲大陆最早进行工业革命的国家之一。它拥有完善的港口、运河、铁路以及公路等基础设施，这为比利时与邻国更紧密的经济整合创造了条件，拓宽了与世界的联系，也为比利时与中国的联系提供了便利性。比利时与中国最早的接触要回溯到17世纪，比利时的基督教徒来到中国，自此两国便产生了千丝万缕的联系。1971年，中国与比利时正式建立外交关系，这对于两个国家来说都是历史上非常重要且具有象征性的时刻。两国之间关系的增进，从渺小慢慢增大，从单一到多元，越来越亲密。发展联系不仅仅是政府和政府之间，也涉及到了经贸、学生与技术方面，实现了人与人之间的接触与交流。起初提到比利时，人们联想最多的是它的钻石、食品、啤酒或一些古典的商品。然而，如今的比利时已经进入了扭转时期，大力吸引的外国资本为比利时经济带来了活力，也带来了新技术和新兴工业。高科技品质的商品出售已不再是问题，中国企业也将继续以多样化的模式投资于比利时，两国的合作道路将越走越宽。
So, Your Excellency, Mr. Michel Malherbe, Ambassador of Belgium here in China. So, could you tell us a little bit about the historical relations between Belgium and China? So, what has there been in history between these two countries or those territories that today are China and Belgium?
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about Belgium and China. Well, the relationship between Belgium and China goes back a very, very long time. It started in the 17th century when Belgian Jesuits came to the imperial court of China to teach about the stars and the sky, and they were very welcome, and that was the very, very first step, I believe, of at that level of what was then Belgium in China, because as you know, in the 17th century, Belgium did not exist as an independent country. We can jump forward in time, and you may know that in the 19th century, Belgian engineers built the first railroads in China, the first tracks, and they were very renowned for the technical abilities then. Then another important step, I believe, but that was before the establishment of diplomatic relations. And well, there is one more even before the establishment of the People's Republic. which I forgot, and that is the fact that Belgium was the first country to relinquish its concession in China. Belgium had a concession in Tianjin, and in the 1920s, it was the first country to give it back to China. And I know that is something many Chinese did not forget. Maybe one more fact, but after the establishment of the People's Republic, was a trip which our late Queen Elizabeth did in China in 1961. Because even at that time, when Belgium did not have diplomatic relations with China, some Belgians did understand what was about to come, and the incredible development that would characterize China after the revolution. So this brings us to 1971, which saw the establishment of diplomatic relations and the arrival of the first Belgian diplomats in this compound. 1971 was a triumph for China, a diplomatic triumph, with the recognition of the People's Republic by many countries, including Belgium. And that year, 1971, was really the beginning of a new era, with a rush of Belgian businessmen, Belgian companies, Belgian students to Beijing and Shanghai and other cities in the country. So really very quickly, starting in the 17th century until 1971, establishment of the diplomatic relations. That is what I would choose as very significant moments in the history of the two countries. Of course, there is much more to say about what happened after 1971, but that may be your next question or not.
So, what then about the more modern relations between Belgium and China? So now you mentioned pretty much what has happened from the 70s or 17th century up to 1971, a little bit afterwards. So what has been happening, let's say, for the last few decades, for the last years, the 21st century? What are the relations now?
Diplomatic relations make a lot possible. They open a lot of possibilities for everyone. You must understand that at that time, people in Belgium did not know a lot about China. It took quite some time to understand the situation here. But Belgium was the first country to create big joint ventures with China, and that is something people here have not forgotten either. I will name two. One in Xi'an, the Xi'an Janssen Pharmaceutical Company, and then Alcatel Bell in Shanghai, which was a telecom joint venture. Both very, very successful. Trade started very, very small. I will not give absolute figure, but just imagine that the trade flows today are probably 1,500 times more multiple than what they were in the early 70s. Trade is one thing, investment another one. Both develop very, very quickly. At the beginning, when you think Belgium, you think maybe diamonds or food products, some food products, or beer, classic products. Today, we are exporting high technology products to China, a very wide range of them. I mentioned those two joint ventures, Belgian investment in China. Today we are talking about the reverse movement, meaning Chinese companies moving abroad and investing in a country like Belgium in a very, very diversified manner. A few examples, look at Geely, for example, the car manufacturer here, acquired Volvo. Volvo owns a huge assembly factory in Ghent, in Belgium, and that immediately turned Geely into the first Chinese investor of a significant size in Belgium. Recently, we have seen important Chinese investments in another big asset of ours, which is the port of Antwerp. There is a big Chinese presence there. The Chinese banks are present in Brussels, ICBC, Bank of China. High-tech Chinese companies like Huawei have up to 5 investments in Belgium, different activities, different places. And even in the financial sector, we have seen a company like Anban buying insurance companies and even banks in Belgium. That is on the business side, investment side. Students and science are another key aspect. Tonight I will attend the opening ceremony of a program called Huawei Seeds for the Future. They invite each year a number of Belgian students for a number of weeks within the company from a wide range of Belgian universities. And we see this as a very, very important development because we believe in people-to-people diplomacy, people-to-people contacts, not only government to government. Another new thing is Chinese tourism abroad, and in Belgium in particular. We have seen tourism growing 300% a year in the last few years, with charter flights to regional airports in Belgium. And again, that is a very important aspect of people-to-people diplomacy. We believe that Chinese tourists traveling to Europe come back with a very different view, with a very different perspective, and that is, it brings our peoples and our countries together in a very efficient manner. There are many more developments which I could describe here. But the most important thing is probably that the bilateral relation has grown from small to big, and also from simple to very complex.
比利时国土面积虽不大，但各具特色的旅游景点遍布全国。历届政府因地制宜，大力发展交通和航运，带动了商业和外贸的繁荣，为国家经济的发展奠定了坚实的基础。比利时作为欧洲的一个中心点，也因为它的食物、文化甚至漫画吸引着全世界的目光。比利时每年游客增长近300%，成为国民外交一个非常重要的方面。它的城市布鲁塞尔不单单只是比利时的首都，也能成为欧洲的首都。布鲁塞尔包含了欧洲所有的机构，在为比利时带来繁荣蓬勃的经济发展与现代进步的同时，也保持着欧洲最迷人的中古风貌，蕴含着中世纪的神秘和独特之美。而位于比利时北部的安特卫普，作为欧洲第2大港口，是世界上最大的钻石加工地，有钻石之都的称誉。比利时并不是一个很大的国家，却一直以不同的方式重现了它非常深厚的文化，展现着独特的魅力。
So yeah, you just mentioned these Chinese tourists. Was it 300 times more? Was it every year that they come to Belgium? So what brings now Chinese tourists to Belgium? What makes Belgium or Brussels or the whole of Belgium special, let's say, compared to France, Italy, Paris?
Aspect of it is a Chinese development, and that is the rise of the middle class in China. People reaching that level. First, I believe they want a house or two, a car, and then they want to travel. Europe is a key destination because of its history, and at the heart of Europe you have our country, you have Belgium, which can be looked at as a miniature Europe. We know that first geographically we really lie at the center, very close to the UK, to France, to Germany, to the Netherlands. So Chinese tourists landing in Belgium can travel through Europe very easily. Usually the Chinese tourists want to visit many countries, so they choose us as a landing strip, and from there they see that we have a lot to offer as well. Europe is not only Paris or London or Florence or Rome or Amsterdam. Cities like Brussels, which is not only our capital but also the capital of Europe, where you have all the European institutions, have a lot to show, a lot to offer. You have the art cities in Flanders, like Bruges or Ghent, and in the south a much greener setting. So we like to say that we are a miniature Europe. Our country is small, with a small population, but we have different language groups, different cultures, and those who want a compact view of Europe actually do not need to cross our borders.
You also mentioned before some cultural exchanges, so you have, for instance, a meeting with students coming from Belgium. But are there any other, let's say, cultural exchanges, the soft side of diplomatic relations between two countries? So some more elaboration on this topic.
Well, when you leave this embassy, maybe you can make a picture of Tintin. Maybe you saw that Blue Lotus picture hanging in front of the embassy, where you see Tintin. I think his name is it Ding Ding in Chinese? Yes, coming out of a Chinese vase. Cartoons, to name one example, are a very popular Belgian culture item in China. Not only Ding Ding has been translated into Chinese, but also a large number of other cartoon series. We think that our food culture is very attractive to the Chinese people as well. There are a number of Belgian restaurants in town, festivals. Beer is one of our key selling points. Our main beer company owns 26 breweries in China. We have had to move from beer to more intellectual topics. A number of dance companies coming to China recently. We have a Belgian-owned a gallery in the 798 cultural district here in Beijing. So, of course, we are not very big as a country, but we have a very deep cultural presence in China, and developing every day in a number of ways.
So we could say the relations are really deep, economically and culturally.
Yes, and growing.
比利时作为贸易中心，拥有着重要的立场和角色。对于华人投资者来说，比利时的首都布鲁塞尔是欧盟决策的中心点，能创造更多金融投资和电信投资机会。自比利时和中国建交以来，两国之间的贸易联系往来密切，大型的投资项目接踵而至。其特殊的地理环境使比利时不仅成为好几个世纪的欧洲战场，也成为了文化结合的交集处，给投资者一个更多元和更高技术劳动力的投资环境。比利时有着非常高水平的工业技术，这对于中国的投资者来说，无疑不是个有利的触点。同样，比利时拥有着许多世界级的大学，作为核心资本，吸引着中国投资者。两国将深化伙伴关系，挖掘优势，互惠合作，共同向前。
So you just mentioned that Belgium is such a hub for tourists traveling all around Europe, but I would also see that Belgium could be a trade hub, as it has been in history. And could you tell us a little bit more now about this trade hub position, or what could China get by investing into Belgium, or are there any big investments or big projects at the moment in Belgium made by the Chinese?
One key aspect for Chinese investors is that Brussels is the decision center of the European Union. So a number of Chinese companies decide to invest in Belgium, not only for Belgium itself, but in order to be close to the decision center of Europe. That creates opportunities for financial investment, for telecom investments, because the norms, the technical norms, are set by the EU for the whole of Europe. So we are a political center and also, therefore, a test market. And China knows that we have really an edge as far as Europe is concerned. We have been providing a number of very high-level personalities to the European institutions. The first president of the EU was one of our former prime ministers. So we know how the EU works, and when you know us, you have something that others may not have as to access to the EU is concerned. That is the institutional part. Then we have one of the largest ports in Europe. If banks and telecom institutions choose Belgium for its access to the EU, the chemical sector and the logistics sector go for Antwerp because of that size and historical significance of the port in the world. Antwerp is of course the largest port of Belgium, but is also the largest port of the northern part of France and of a big chunk of Germany. So you have to look at it from a hinterland point of view. Then the workforce in Belgium is very skilled and is also very multilingual because of our history. Belgium has been the battlefield of Europe for centuries due to its central geographical location, but it is also the meeting point of cultures, and it has created that mix of Germanic and Latin cultures, which gives investors a very multilingual and skilled workforce. Belgium therefore has a very strong engineering capacity. And I know that there is a strong interest in China for the start-up companies which rise like a mushroom around our universities, and we have a few world-class universities. So I think that these are probably the main assets of Belgium for Chinese investors in their rush to the West, which we see happening every day as a result of the One Belt, One Road policy.
一带一路的提出，不论是从政治学、经济学还是历史学的角度，对于比利时来说都是非常有利的。如今，中国是美国维持和平部队的最大供应商，比利时也很有可能成为亚洲基础设施投资银行的一员。两国合作有着广阔前景，双方将加强顶层设计，充分对接，进一步释放合作潜力，服务各自发展。比利时将结合公共建设投资，开启西欧经济与“一带一路”两者做一个连接，让中国和欧盟共同投资于一个较大的基础设施计划，呈现出双赢的局势。虽然现在很难去判断未来20年两国的发展趋势，但中国将会强力推广丝绸之路，而比利时也将尽最大努力来连接欧亚大陆的两端。
So you just mentioned now this one belt, one road. So looking at the map, we could say that this new Silk Road, as some call it, we could say it starts from eastern China, and then pretty much the end point of the whole initiative is in Western Europe, practically in Belgium. So I could ask, what is in the One Belt, One Road for Belgium? What's the importance of this initiative for your country, and how your country can benefit from this initiative then?
Well, from a diplomatic point of view, Belgium and the EU and the Western world as a whole are very happy to see China growing, not only economically but also politically as a partner, as a player in the international community. We see a lot of developments, like the fact today that China is the biggest contributor of troops to the United Nations peacekeeping efforts. That is very, very important, because it does not fit in Chinese tradition. It is a development. It's something new. Economically, the idea applies perfectly to the One Belt, One Road initiative. China gets very prosperous and wants to share a bit of that prosperity on the ancient roads to Western Europe by land and by sea. So from a political and economic and historic point of view, that is a very welcome development. Of course, we know that China is doing this to expand its presence and its trade on that route. But we also understand that China wants to make the countries on that route benefit from its new policy. So we very much look at it as a win-win situation, a win-win formula, and that is a very good thing. Of course, from a practical point of view, countries benefit in very different ways. We are at the end point of that route. The countries of Central Asia, for example, would benefit from an infrastructure point of view, and we would benefit from a trade point of view, because because One Belt, One Road would facilitate access to Western Europe. But we are also thinking in terms of investment. As you know, the European Union and the President of the European Union, Mr. Juncker, as a person then, developed investment funds. There is the Juncker initiative, which aim at investing in infrastructure to kickstart the Western economy again, I would say. So when you look at it, there is a lot of similarity between that initiative and One Belt, One Road. And we want to connect the two ideas and to see whether China and the EU could invest together in big infrastructure initiatives that would enhance One Belt, One Road, and also help restart the European economy. So we really have two initiatives there which complement each other, which match perfectly. Very practically, of course, we are glad to see that a train could travel from Chongqing to Antwerp. That is already possible. But for that, we need the trade. And for the time being, it seems to be easier to fill a train traveling from China to Europe than from Europe to China. So the route is good, but the content is also very important. So we are watching. We want to help. Another sign of this is that Belgium will very soon be a member of the Asian Infrastructure Bank. It shows our commitment and our willingness to participate in the One Belt, One Road initiative.
So now we've seen that there are some benefits from this One Belt, One Road to all the countries along it in Central Asia, or the trade benefits to Belgium. But how will it be in 20 years? Will it work, or how it will work, and what will be Belgium's position in these next 20 years alongside this new Silk Road, this new initiative?
Well, diplomats are very careful, and it's very hard to see 20 years ahead, to look at the situation then. It depends on a number of factors. It depends on the development of China itself. There are a number of challenges for the time being. China is refocusing on internal consumption. There are a number of reforms which need to take shape. That's at one hand. At the other hand, you have Europe, which is going through a crisis, an economic crisis, which is, I believe, maybe not finished yet, but we can see some light points. We have other problems like the Brexit, like the refugee crisis, immigration. So then you have everything in between. When you look at the news, you see that between Europe and China, there are a few regions which are in big trouble. It's hard to know how the route itself will evolve between now and 20 years from now. But what we see is the genuine intention of China to promote the route, and we want to contribute to that and do our utmost to connect the two ends of Eurasia, and maybe help solve situations in between in the Muslim world and other troubled parts of the world, and maybe One Belt, One Road can be a peace factor and a development factor for both ends and the region in between, including our relationship to Russia, which is very important in that region. So I would not dare to look 20 years ahead in a too precise manner, but these are the challenges ahead.
So, Votre Excellence, Monsieur Michel Malherbe, merci beaucoup pour l'interview.
Merci beaucoup à vous.
C'est un honneur pour nous.
Pour moi également. Merci.
近年来，中比关系发展势头喜人，正处于历史最好时期。两国建立了全方位友好合作伙伴关系，在贸易、投资、科技、文化、旅游等领域合作顺利推进。2016年是中国与比利时建交的第45年，这一年里，两国签署了一系列协议。中国和比利时在多个领域存在合作的空间， 合作前景可谓一片大好。作为欧洲的十字路口、西欧的地理位置中心，比利时是发展“一带一路”的重点国家，一定会在“一带一路”倡议中起到很大作用。两国间的合作之路还十分长远。“一带一路”不仅带来了贸易与经济方面的互联互通，更促进了中国与比利时与欧洲陆路和海上的联通和交流。未来，两国将会继续就“一带一路”的宏伟蓝图深化合作，贡献智慧。相信两国将在过去丰硕的合作成果基础上，抓住“一带一路”建设等契机，继续推进各领域合作，造福中比两国人民。